Welcome back to Dream Builders. Waterways are full of natural wonders and resources, if you know where to look. Steve Greenberg met some folks in Florida who went down to the river and found what they consider to be sunken treasure.
The Goodwin Heart Pine Company makes fine flooring, trim, and furniture for homes all over the country. George Goodwin takes pride in the strength and beauty of his wood products and in the fact that his company has never cut down a tree. Instead of using chainsaws to get their lumber, the Goodwins use scuba gear. Fred Tateman has been diving in southern rivers for 20 years. Although he's searching for old-growth pine and cypress logs, Fred never knows what he'll find in these dark waters.
Well, actually, you're really looking for alligators as you're trying to find the log. If we have murky conditions, then it's more of a sense of feel than anything else. I've done it long enough, I can actually run my hand across the log and pretty well tell you what kind it is, how old it is.
These things look like fossils to me coming out of the rivers. Not an average log.
By now, you're probably wondering, how did mature, old-growth, longleaf pine and tidewater red cypress end up at the bottom of southern rivers like this one? Well, to answer that question, you have to go back in time to the mid-1800s. To early Americans, the forest seemed endless.
What the settlers found when they came to this continent was what they call climax forest. The story goes that a squirrel could climb from the east coast to the Mississippi River without ever touching the ground. This was a totally forested continent.
The number one choice for building in those days was old-growth pine. After maturing for hundreds of years, it was durable and beautiful. The trees were clear-cut to the riverbanks and wrapped together. The logs were then floated downstream to sawmills. But along the way, many got loose and sank. These sinker logs have been frozen in time on the bottom of rivers for more than 100 years. Today, diving is the only way to get this wood. The last of the old-growth longleaf pine was logged off 50 years ago, and a newly planted tree will take 200 to 500 years to mature.
The same species of tree, longleaf pine or tidewater red cypress, growing today does not exhibit the same properties that the old growth does.
When the tree is allowed to mature, it forms heartwood, which is the center part you see here. It's been preserved by the cold and low oxygen environment of the river. This heartwood is what the Goodwins consider to be their sunken treasure.
They don't look like much on the outside, but they're very beautiful on the inside. So it's a revelation every time you put a saw into one and open it up.
The logs are cut into boards. After air drying for 2 to 3 months, they are heat dried in a special kiln. Then the boards are milled to order. The Goodwins keep their heart pine legacy alive for their customers by leaving in axe-cut ends and peg holes from the raft.
It gives it character. It also tells a story that this log had been fashioned into a raft and was lost on its way downriver. It tells a story. It adds to the whole romance of it.
Heart pine offers more than just nostalgia. Older, bigger trees mean wider boards, up to 12 inches. And the wood's resin protects it from rot and allows the color to deepen with age. All of these qualities were very appealing to Bob and Shirley Kramer when they were looking for the perfect floor for their Central Florida home.
Normally the narrower boards that are available in hardwoods were not as appealing as the wide boards that can be sawn at the heart pine. The richness of the color, the durability, the history of the wood itself is also important.
The future of longleaf pine lies in the 1,000 acres left today, a mere shadow of the 75 million acres standing just a century ago.
A certain spiritual sort of effect that an old-growth forest has on human beings. It does on me anyway. And it's sad that there's not more of them for people to go enjoy.
The Goodwins are involved in replanting longleaf pine, but baby trees like this one have a long way to go. And even though George Goodwin has dedicated his life to salvaging the logs history left behind, one day his treasure chest may empty.
I've always worried about it, something I've based my whole life on, a hope that we would find logs on the bottom of the river. And that's sort of a stretch. to most people, it's really a stretch.
But it's not a stretch to appreciate old-growth longleaf pine, a wood with hope, history, and heart.